you know, this week in our course we're thinking about drug discovery and development. We've had some interesting scientists with us and people who are working in the industry, and I'm very lucky to have with us today Chuck Bramlage, who is on the industry side of this equation. And Chuck is the CEO of a company called Pearl Therapeutics. Actually, that company was recently acquired by AstraZeneca. So one of the things we see in the pharmaceutical industry, this is a side story, but a lot of kind of merging and acquisitions, that's just part of the business. But so Chuck, thank you for being here with us.
It's great to be here. Yeah.
It's an honor to have you here. You have a little different background than some of the other folks we've had in front of us. Would you mind sharing with our audience here, what your academic background was that led you down this pathway you've taken?
I was a marketing major at Ohio State and went out and became a pharmaceutical sales rep. So everything I did was in science anyway. I always liked science. Mm-hmm. And then I did an MBA later as well. But all the folks that I've worked with have some kind of scientific background, and a lot of them are in pharmacy or had pharmacy backgrounds.
Great. So, but basically you came from kind of a business academic training and marketing, and it's interesting that you've kind of merged that with science in a way that has been a very successful career pathway for you, right? So, Chuck, if we can extend that a little bit, I know you've worked in various companies in the pharmaceutical industry, and you've had different kinds of positions, as you said, starting as a sales rep and working your way up. I wonder, could you share with our listening audience here, what do you see as the various kinds of opportunities in industry that, if I'm sitting out there watching this, maybe I'm in pharmacy, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm more interested in business. Can you give us a quick summary of the way you see the opportunities in this field for someone who's coming up?
All opportunities within the company, if you don't like science, you're probably in the wrong spot. So if you have a business background and you like science and you want to get involved, it's great. I would say for all the folks that I've talked to in the pharmacy college here, there are many opportunities for pharmacists to go into industry. Now, many times you think of hospital working in retail, but we actually need a lot more pharmacists than I think are knocking on our door. Yeah. So there are jobs in health science liaison positions, which are the top scientific people that educate doctors about drugs and about the class of drugs. There are tons of people that are involved in clinical development, which have pharmacy backgrounds. And all those people, again, once you get in, you can always get into management positions. And to me, it's a lot of fun to have an impact on an area, therapeutic area. Like right now, we're having an impact in COPD. Yeah. Everybody in the company believes in it, loves to come to work because we're making a difference for patients eventually someday.
Yeah, it's really quite exciting. I wanted to ask you, Chuck, we've studied in our course in a very, rudimentary way, albeit, the FDA drug approval process and, basically how that works. You've lived it, and you've taken products through that process. Could you kind of give us your thoughts on what that's like from kind of a user standpoint of going through this?
First off, it's set up to obviously be very safe for patients. So the FDA is protecting all the people in this country, right? They don't want bad drugs to hit the market and do something to someone. So we've got that nice protection there. The problem is it's just very lengthy to get through. You obviously have to test to make sure that your drug doesn't affect animals first. And then once you get into humans, you're testing different doses to see what the optimal level of performance is. And then it's just very expensive. That's the biggest issue. Yeah. So for every drug, the further you get along, and we're now in phase 3, Pearl, and we're spending about $225 million to do our trial on 2,700 patients.
Wow.
There's no way of getting around it, cutting corners. We have to prove that our drug is better than single agents. We have a double combination, and better than placebo, and better, and for Europeans, better than one of the competitors. Yeah. So it's a long process. So our company is 6 years old. We've got 2 more years we have on this trial. So we've got 8 years of working to develop the compound that will take another year then to get approved if we have the results we expect. So 9 years and probably around, for us, $450 million. For some new chemical entities, it's more like $750 to $1 billion, I think, is the number. Yeah. It's just very expensive.
Very expensive. So we start to understand maybe why pharmaceuticals can be expensive in terms of the research and investment, research and development investment that must be made to bring them to market. So let's follow that line of thought for a minute. I mean, this is a risky business, and sometimes it pays off big, and sometimes we have products that really become big sellers, and companies make a lot of money. Often they don't. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, and you've been in different parts of the business, how do we sustain this over time, do you think? How do we continue to develop innovative projects in the United States, products in the United States, and contain cost? I mean, do you have any thoughts about how that's going to happen, how that'll unfold?
We might be able to improve the FDA process in terms of speed, which for orphan drugs they do that, right? So we're trying to get faster and less investment to help a small population. Yeah. That's one way. And then really it's the drug companies have to target areas and improvements that are going to make a difference. And in the days of drug companies, and again this is on to us, we didn't do a good job of making, because there was a lot of Me Too's that were developed, and it doesn't really help anyone. So then when you get out, the pricing is down and you can't really recoup your investment. So I think drug companies now are more focused than ever at what can we develop that is better than the current market product. Yeah. So and you have to.
Yeah. I'm wondering, Chuck, you mentioned you have product in phase 3. So could you walk us through just briefly, how this product was developed? I mean, what's the science here? What's the drug development process? And kind of give us a thumbnail sketch of how that happened.
Okay. This technology is a formulation technology that allows you to mix more than one drug in a canister. Tablets are a little bit easier when you make a tablet and you show the government that you can consistently make that tablet and it stays stable over time. That's one thing. It's a very huge challenge to develop medicines in a canister, an inhaler, and test it so that the FDA and the patients know that the dose is the same dose 1 versus dose 120, and the same dose, 18 months on the shelf. And that's where the problem in our industry at combining two drugs, you have a lot of problems with the formulations. Our technology allows us to do that. So we, in fact, have taken two older medicines, mixed them together, and we're giving them for COPD patients. Spiriva, which is one of the market leaders, is a very effective drug for COPD, a very large product. We have found in our phase 2 trials that we are 55% better at breathing function improvement over that drug. So a substantial win for patients. Our scientists knew that we could get in this market and make products. The real win at the end, and this is what I believe AZ was very excited about our company, is that we are the first, and we think maybe 1 or 2 companies that can put 3 drugs together. So a Spiriva and an Advair together for COPD patients and or asthma patients, which they're already using today. What if they had one canister to use that? And that will be a big product for AZ, and it's a big product for our scientists to make that happen. Yeah. And so we're working on that right now. We've just started.
Yeah. So in this case, it's thinking of ways to use kind of existing compounds, if you will, in a unique way, and putting them in a delivery system that's stable and more user-friendly for the patient. Yeah, and it's pretty cool. I wonder, Chuck, if you could, I'll bet you have some insight into this one too. If we think about, one of the things that we're talking about in our course here is post-marketing surveillance and pharmacovigilance. How can we improve drug product safety after the drug has been approved? And we've had some really colossal examples in the United States of things where that didn't work very well. Do you have any opinions about how we can improve medication safety, drug safety post-marketing?
I think the FDA has been very aggressive at looking deeper than what it may have done in the past. So I think it's a very conservative approach, which on the safety front is fine. Fine for me. It's good for all patients. So I think, once you do the standard trials, you're talking to the FDA at every point along the way. And if you're in a class of drugs that's already in the market, it's much easier, right? Because we know what the side effect profile is. Yeah. So they ask you to test and you're looking for that. So that's not a problem if you're in a known therapeutic area. The question becomes in some of these new compounds in new therapeutic areas.
Yeah.
And that's the problem where I'm sure the FDA will continue to be very conservative. And you never can be 100% sure.
Yeah.
You do a trial, these patients are coming to your office, they're very controlled, and then you put them out in the, once the product gets launched, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, using different
and
ways.
you don't know, what the patient is taking with other medicines because they're not controlled.
Yeah.
And who knows? But, you've got to test afterwards. Phase 4 trials, you're always testing to see what else is out there. And the pharmacovigilance programs and all the drug companies, very serious about everything. So I feel very good being a pharmaceutical person that we're doing everything we can, but when you get a new therapeutic area, you just don't know.
It's unknown territory.
Yep.
So, pharmaceutical companies are doing more, FDA is doing more, and we've even talked about that in our course. So you feel like we're doing the right things, it seems, in terms of where we're headed anyway.
Feel very comfortable about our industry and that element.
Well, Chuck, I feel like we've talked about the questions that were on my mind. You are just a wealth of information. I know you are, and I'm wondering, is there anything else that it's on your mind that we should share with our audience?
Yeah, for everyone that is interested in any field related to pharmacy, and again, I know I'm in the pharmacy college here at Ohio State. Again, as I've told you and as I've told other people in the college, we need to start thinking broadly and more broadly about positions in where we can get our highly trained undergrads here or the graduates here at looking at pharmaceuticals as an alternative, great industry for them to get involved in. And I always think back of a physician I knew that was an allergist, and he was one of the top allergists. And I said, why did you join Glaxo, which is one of the companies I work for? Why did you join Glaxo and get involved in clinical development? He had his own practice. He worked at the university. And he said, Chuck, I'm an asthmatic. And I wanted to have more impact on asthma patients. And I felt if I went to the leader, one of the market leaders in that field, I could touch millions of patients as opposed to my several hundred patients that I had, or the 500, whatever his number was. And so I thought that was really neat, because he was a real special guy that really, that's where he wanted to have an impact. And he's one of the top guys in the industry right now in asthma and COPD, works for one of the large companies, and he's a great guy, and he knows how to develop clinical trials, and that's what he does.
So making a difference on a much bigger scale.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an interesting
And I think that's what's fun for our industry.
Sure it is. It's exciting. Well, and if I think about what you just said, I could be sitting anywhere in the world right now, and I'm in maybe some sort of an undergraduate science major or something related to that. But keep in mind the pharmaceutical industry as a possible kind of career launching pad for you.
Great opportunity. Yeah. And as I always say, being a commercial guy, I could have ended up being in an industry selling tables or something. And the beauty of pharmaceuticals is you are doing something that actually means something to somebody.
Yep.
And if you're in a company that is making new meds, and I've been a part of companies that made incredible drugs, we've made some Me Too products, but when you're part of a company making great drugs, it's real easy to go to work.
Yeah, it makes a real difference.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being with us. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Thanks for the
Good
invite.
luck to you.
Thanks.